Hi, I'm Vibreen Samuels and welcome back to another episode of Soul Stirring Astrology, where I give you my textured take on the world of astrology. Well, it's been several weeks since I've uploaded an episode and I've really missed you, but I had terrible trouble with Mercury when it went retrograde over that summer period, so I couldn't post anything. I literally couldn't post anything. And then after Mercury retrograde and my technical challenges, a wonderful opportunity presented itself, and it was time for me to kind of focus down. I'm applying astrology into my life as much as I'm sharing it with you, and some wonderful things have occurred and continue to unfold in my life. And one of the things I had to concentrate on was getting my TV pilot completed, because I've got the North Node going through one of the stelliums that I have in my chart. I have two back-to-back stelliums in the 9th and 10th house. And the North Node was crossing some of my key planets, and as a result of that I was able to complete my TV pilot. I pitched it at the London Screenwriters Festival to a Hollywood executive, and this TV producer is interested in reading my script. So it's been a phenomenal time. I've really seen the benefit of this North Node, but I had to kind of pull in my reserves to get done what I needed to get done. But hey, beautiful people, I'm here, I'm back, really excited to bring astrology back into your lives, Vibreen style. So the key thing that's taking place next week is we've got Jupiter leaving the sign of Libra, moving into Scorpio, and it will be there for 13 months because that's about the cycle that Jupiter takes, just over a year to go through a particular sign. So Jupiter in Libra comes to an end on October the 9th, and then we move into Scorpio on October the 10th. So in the last week or so before Jupiter leaves Libra, it's a time for you to kind of reflect on, your relationships and look at, how expansive did they become, what kind of loose ends need to be tied up with regards to relationships before Jupiter leaves the air sign of Libra and plunges into the waters of Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. So when we're thinking of Jupiter, the image, the symbol, it's the crescent of the soul and the cross of matter. And here, Jupiter is about the ability to rise into education. It's where you're seeking new challenges, new explorations, an expansion of who you understand yourself to be. And so Jupiter going into a water sign, you've got this sense of expansiveness and kind of seeking what's going on the horizon. And it moves into the kind of secretive, power-hungry, reflective sign of Scorpio. So there's a bit of a dichotomy going on there. But Jupiter deals with the high mind. And so when we're looking at the mind, we also need to look at Jupiter alongside Mercury and Neptune. So when we're looking at Jupiter and Mercury, so Jupiter is about the constructive and the progressive gathering of information. It's about, really scanning this horizon and pulling in and seeing what sort of wisdom or theories that can be extrapolated from the information that's gathered. Because as Einstein said, it's theories that help us to focus down on what it is that we observe. So Jupiter takes this long-range view of information and knowledge to feed the higher mind, whereas Mercury is taking a kind of microscopic view. So Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo. So with a mercurial eye looking at knowledge using Gemini, the knowledge it's just information, it's normal, you're kind of gathering disparate pieces of information. That's Gemini going out into the world, chatting with a variety of other people, gathering this information. And it's normal, it's just there, it's like, wow, look what I know. Whereas when Mercury is applied through Virgo, the information moves from being normal to microscopic. So Mercury there, in terms of the mind, you want to be analysing this information that's being gathered in. Now with Jupiter's lens is telescopic. So Jupiter is taking like this 360 perspective of what lies on the horizon, and the horizon is as far and as wide as the eye can see. And so what you're seeking to do here, as Jupiter enters whatever sign, but here we're looking at Scorpio, you're balancing this concept of the higher mind and how information is gathered. And you can't look at Jupiter in isolation. It's got to be looked at, as I said, in terms of Mercury and the mercurial approach to information as Jupiter is gathering from a telescopic point of view. Now, conversely, we've got Jupiter alongside Neptune. So here we have the higher mind, the higher ideals. It's this sense of the gathering of information and tying your dream to some type of higher truth, morality, where you can align yourself, because Jupiter wants to rise above the mundanities of life. Now, the difference between how Jupiter and Neptune deal with information or deal with who we are as human beings is Jupiter wants to expand the ego and the personality. You know, Jupiter wants to be limitless. Whereas Neptune, on the other hand, wants to dissolve the ego, wants to dissolve the personality. So you've got this dichotomy, because Jupiter wants to go out there and take risks and on one level show, you know, look how brilliant I am. Whereas Neptune's saying, in order to rise above the mundanities of life, Jupiter, we need to kind of tailor you a bit and get rid of the ego, dissolve the ego, so there's no barrier between yourself and others. Now, the anchoring point for Jupiter is moving into water, but the anchoring point, wherever Jupiter is going to be Saturn. So Jupiter wants to be the star of the show, and Saturn says, hold on a minute, Jupiter, you can't be running free. We need to give your ideas, your theories, some sense of groundedness. You need to be responsible with the information that you're gathering. So Saturn provides a counterpoint to Jupiter as Jupiter moves through Scorpio from over the next 13 months. Now, Saturn moves into its own sign, one of its signs, but the key sign is Capricorn, and Capricorn is Earth. So we're looking at the energies of both Jupiter being in water, Saturn being in Earth. And so water is able to be contained by Earth. And so this is going to provide quite a good structure as you're plunging into the Scorpionic waters, that you're not just going to be running wild, because you're paying attention to what Saturn potentially offers you. Now, when you're looking at Jupiter and Neptune, they're both water, because Neptune's in the sign it rules, which is Pisces, and Jupiter is moving into water. So there could be this spillage of deep hidden emotions that you find uncontrollable, and they could spill out in ways that could do you more harm than good. So as Jupiter moves through Scorpio, and Scorpio is the sign, and wherever it is in your chart is where you are thirsting for change, and it's about deep transformative change. Jupiter wants this for you, but as I said, you've got this dichotomy going on, because you've got risk, but you're moving into a sign that's risk averse, and there's a sense whereby what you're dealing with here is the desire for risk and the fear of vulnerability. And so it's about, how do you begin to reconcile these two positions? And a way to begin to reconcile them is where you're able to start letting go of the pettiness, the jealousy, the past hurts that you're holding on to in this very retentive way. And so just imagine this retentiveness that water invites. Jupiter, on the other hand, says, come on, we need to get the show on the road. And so the invitation here is how you pull into yourself and deep dive. So you start excavating some of, your demons, excavating, these kind of passions and jealousies that potentially undermine you. And what you're seeking to do with Jupiter is always trying to show you the light, but you can't actually activate or reach or move towards the light if you have not done your own dirty work. So with Jupiter going through Scorpio, it's a time to roll up your sleeves, get your hands dirty, plunge in to do your dirty work. Now, when we're looking at vulnerability, there's key strengths in vulnerability. You know, I came into contact with astrology in 1996, and it was the key that unlocked my door, because my struggle back then was I didn't know how to be vulnerable. I survived everything. You know, I wasn't thriving, I survived life. I survived all that life threw at me. It came to me, it fought me, and I fought it. And so what I had was a very limited basket of tools to enable me to grow and thrive through life. And it's this sense of knowing how to be vulnerable. And I've learned that and continue to learn that, but that's where the power lies. It lies in vulnerability. It lies in that ability to unmask yourself. And with Jupiter going into Scorpio, it is this sense of, you've got power players because Scorpio is ruled by Pluto, another power player. And so you've got this sense of this expansiveness that Jupiter wants to bring into your life. And then Pluto rules Scorpio, so it's about how you use power. So as Jupiter moves through Scorpio, be mindful of the use and misuse of power. Because if you want to really go about this transformative personal journey, you've got to be able to not manage it, but transform it. Because Jupiter in Scorpio is about deep transformation on a big scale. So it's a juicy time ahead, but you've got to be able to pivot and manage these complexities within your character, within your personality. How do you keep your ego in check? That's the kind of critical thing, because you've got the ego that wants to expand, and then you want the dissolution of ego so that you can be experiencing, you know, the beautiful things that sometimes are beyond words. It's very experiential. And so with Jupiter, it's about learning. So it could be learning through, you know, deep study, and it could be learning through experiences. But to learn those experiences, you've got to start unlocking your prison doors. Which brings me to the quote of the day, which is by Marcus Aurelius. And what he said is this. He said, go within, because it's within is where you're going to find the foundation for good. And the good will continue to bubble up onto the surface the more that you dig in. And so it's this invitation to keep digging away, you know, clearing the path, you know, deep dive, and then you're coming up to kind of catch your breath and to breathe, and then deep dive back in again, because your treasure trove lies within, and that's what's going to enable you to transform and have these wonderful relationships and engagement, because you've been able to manage power in a positive way. You've been able to situate your ego in a way whereby it's healthy. You're using Saturn to anchor Jupiter, and you're using Neptune to free you so that you can continue to rise. And so the question of the day is about, what is this far off, distant dream that you need to excavate from the Scorpionic waters so that you can really be living into a value-driven life. It's a bit long-winded, I know, but in essence, you're looking at bringing your true values to the surface so you can live an expansive life. So, as always, put your comments, questions, queries in the comment box below. I love to connect with you. I know it's been a good few weeks, but I'm back, looking to connect again, build up our relationships, get into comments and questions. You know, I love to connect with you. Feel free to share this episode with anybody in your network, and you can also like and subscribe to my channel. So until then, beautiful people, have a great time closing out Jupiter in Libra as he gets ready to plunge into Scorpio. So until then, I will see you again on the next episode very soon. Bye bye.